Hi there. I'm a guy with a pineapple puppy and could I explain myself, please? Okay. Yes, you read the title correctly. However, if I'm being honest, the title is kinda wrong. The more accurate title would be I enjoyed New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe more than Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, because I did enjoy this game. A lot. In fact, if I had to delete my save data and start completely over on one of these games, I'd choose Deluxe to replay over Tropical Freeze. Why? I hear you asking. Why do you hate Tropical Freeze so much? I don't. Remember, the title was I like Deluxe more than Tropical Freeze, not I think Deluxe is a better game than Tropical Freeze. Because I do genuinely believe that Tropical Freeze is a much better game than Deluxe. But if I think it's better, why do I like Deluxe more? Let me explain. In my opinion, you can have one thing be your favorite while thinking a completely different thing is better. As an example, let's talk about my favorite show of all time, SpongeBob. It's part of the reason why I have a pineapple as a puppy. If you were to ask 100 SpongeBob fans what the best episode of SpongeBob is, a lot of them would probably say Band Geeks, and I'd have to agree. This episode is one of the show's funniest. Every character gets a chance to shine. The ending is amazing. Sweet Victory is one of the show's best songs. We get to see Squidward happy. It's an amazing episode and the one I'd consider to be the best. After all that praise, you'd think it'd be my favorite episode, but no. My favorite episode is the Krusty Krab training video, an episode that is also hilarious, clever, entertaining, and tries something different compared to every other episode in the show. I do think Band Geeks is the best episode in the show, but the training video is my personal favorite. And I feel this is similar to how I feel about the two games we're talking about today. Because when it comes to which one is the better game, without question, it goes to Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Tropical Freeze looks, plays, sounds, feels, and tastes better than Deluxe does. It has creative and interesting level design, new ideas and gimmicks for each level, fun and challenging bosses, the best underwater gameplay in any video game ever, and is generally fun to play. Meanwhile, I'd have to say the opposite for most of Deluxe. Its level design isn't terrible, but it isn't as creative or interesting. There aren't too many unique ideas. I mean, there are some, like that one level that looks like a Van Gogh painting, but literally every video I have ever seen that talks about this game mentions that level and how they wish there were more levels like it.
The famous example is the painterly background in the swamp, but the theme is only touched on before it's tossed away and replaced with more whatever.
It doesn't help that some levels, like a spectacular piece focusing on Van Gogh's Starry Night, are so stunning you start to wonder why that same creativity wasn't applied to the entire product.
I really love the art style of these spooky levels, so why is there only a few while the rest of the game looks bland and uninspired?
Lastly, I remember that one stage that looks like a Van Gogh painting. I wish they did more inspired stuff like this more often, but yeah, it's only done in this one stage.
Even then, it's only a visual thing, because the actual level itself isn't too interesting, and the same can be said for most levels. Meanwhile, let's take a random level from Tropical Freeze. This one. 5-3 Fruity Factory, a level that takes place in a fruit factory. There are blades, drills, and grinders chopping fruit to avoid. There's the part where grinders are chasing you and you have to keep moving, watermelons on a conveyor belt, fruit slices being thrown in the air that are used as platforms. You start the level by pulling on a rope that summons a barrel that blasts you into the factory, and you finish the level by jumping on fruit slices while a room fills up with fruit juice. That one level, in my opinion, has more creativity and ingenuity than probably a good 90% of the levels in Deluxe. In fact, just for fun, let's look at Deluxe's 5-3, Bramble Woods. It takes place at night. Really, the only interesting thing about this level is that it's full of bramballs and the stalking piranha plants. But as someone who played New Super Mario Bros. Wii, these are things that I've absolutely seen before, so I'm not all too impressed. But hey, for those of you that didn't know, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe has that deluxe due to being 2 games in 1. NSMBU and the DLC for this game, New Super Luigi U, a game where you play much shorter and much harder levels with better game design. Let's look at the 5-3 in that game, Heart of Bramble Woods. Let me clarify, I am not a game designer, so when it comes to level design, I am not an expert. But I'm pretty sure that putting 5 of the same enemy in a row is not good level design. It is especially odd considering that A, Luigi in Luigi U has a higher jump, making it super easy to jump over most of them, and B, given the main power-up in this game is a suit that allows you to glide, it's super easy to just glide over everything too. These levels are just nowhere near as creative with their ideas. Going back to Mario, we saw 5-3, but what about the 2 levels before? 5-1, Jungle of the Giants, features a bunch of bigger Goombas and Koopas, and 5-2, Bridge over Poisoned Waters, features some rotating bridges and moving blocks with the pool of poison below. Wow, what such clever ideas, he said sarcastically. Even if all 3 of the ideas in this level were combined into one large level, it still wouldn't be as interesting or unique as Fruity Factory. To prove this to you, levels 5-1 through 5-3 all have the exact same music, the typical jungle theme. Meanwhile, Fruity Factory has a music track that only plays in this level. This should show you how copy and paste the levels in New Super Mario Bros. U feel compared to Tropical Freeze. No wonder people were so upset that we got 6 of these games. Now I'm even more excited for Mario Wonder because at least the level design looks unique in that game. Anyway, it's pretty obvious that Tropical Freeze is the better game. I just made a rant on how much Deluxe sucks, so why on earth do I like it more? Whenever I'm interested in getting a Switch game, I always make sure that I am well informed on the game before I buy it. After all, I do not want to pay $60 for a game I end up not liking, so I always make sure to watch the reviews and see how the game is. And if you're like this, you can also check out the Which Switch series on my channel. Thanks, you're the best. When it came to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the general consensus is that Tropical Freeze is a massive improvement over the previous game, Donkey Kong Country Returns, being one of the best 2D platformers of all time and a must-buy game for the Switch. Meanwhile, we have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, where the U stands for underwhelming. The new character sucks, it's too generic and similar to the previous games, adds nothing new, you spin by pressing the jump button twice, which makes it harder to control, and technically removes content, making it the non-definitive version of the game. And of course, it's $60! Yay! Despite all the negative reception, I ended up buying the game anyway, mainly for the challenge mode and Luigi U. For those of you that have played Mario games and find them to be on the too easy side, Luigi U and the challenges in this game will definitely fulfill your need for harder Mario stages. I already mentioned how Luigi U had much harder and shorter levels, but a cool factor is that because these levels are shorter, the game only gives you 100 real-world seconds to complete each level, unless you place the 2 characters that add time. This causes each level to feel fast-paced and makes it more fun and difficult, especially if you go for all the star coins, which I did. In fact, I actually played every level in Luigi U twice, once to just beat the level with Luigi, and once with Nabbit to nab the star coins. The fact I was replaying levels I just played shows how fun the levels were. Meanwhile, the challenge mode is exactly what it sounds like. You have time challenges where you complete a level in a certain amount of time, coin challenges where you either collect a bunch of coins or avoid every coin, 1-up rally where you collect 1-ups, and special challenges, which aren't really that special. Why can't they just say others? These challenges can get incredibly hard if you're going for the gold medal. No lie, on the first day I got the game, I spent 3 hours straight just doing challenges. My back was hurting like crazy, but I have no regrets. Anyway, those 2 modes were the things I wanted to try, so I figured when it came to the actual NSMBU part of the game, in order to make things interesting, I'd go for all the star coins, which is something I didn't really do when playing Wii. So with Donkey Kong seeming like it was going to be one of the greatest games I would ever play, and Mario seeming like it would be pretty meh but enjoyable, I got both games, played both of them, and the funny thing is, I enjoyed Mario more. Like I said, Tropical Freeze is definitely the better game, by a wide margin. But when you're expecting something to be absolutely amazing and it's not what you pictured, it can be a bit disappointing. That's like if I told you I was gonna give you the greatest cookie you've ever had in your entire life, and then I gave you an Oreo. Oreos are great, don't get me wrong, but wouldn't you be kinda disappointed? As someone who played Returns, it felt like more of that. Just more levels from Donkey Kong Country Returns. Of course, there were new things I liked, like Dixie and Cranky and the new level gimmicks and stuff, but it felt kinda samey to me. I suppose Deluxe should have felt the same way considering how repetitive the entire series can feel, but for some reason, it did feel like something I'd played before, but in a good way. It felt nostalgic. Actually, I haven't played every single NSMB game, so I guess I'm not too worn out, and since the last one I played was the Wii version back when I was 7, playing a 2D Mario that reminded me of the Wii version made me feel like that 7-year-old again. That and, well, it's just a fun game. It's 2D Mario, and having my expectations extremely low, thinking that this was going to be an incredibly horrible game that I would have to dig deep into in order to enjoy myself at all, and ending up with a game that had an entire 2D Mario adventure that filled me with nostalgia as I went for star coins, a much harder, shorter adventure focused on Luigi where I played each level twice, a challenge mode with incredibly difficult challenges that I spent hours on, and more. Yeah, I think I liked this game. Compare that to Donkey Kong, a game I had high expectations for, and only ended up with an improved version of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Returns is a great game, don't get me wrong, and Tropical Freeze definitely does improve upon it. But I don't know, when you say a game's gonna be the greatest 2D platformer ever, I'm expecting something amazing that I haven't seen before. Like if you told me Celeste was the greatest 2D platformer and then I played it, I feel like I'd be satisfied. Or if you had said Rayman Legends was the greatest 2D platformer and then I played it, I'd be satisfied. But this? Honestly, if I hadn't played Returns, I feel like I'd be satisfied. That's why I feel like me enjoying Deluxe more than Freeze is a matter of personal experience. Mario U is the game where U stands for underwhelming, but for me, I was more underwhelmed by Donkey Kong. Now I understand this is an incredibly hot take. That's why there's an angry mob outside. But you have to remember, my opinion is my opinion and your opinion is different from mine. Plus, my opinion is completely based on personal experience, so it's definitely not an objective viewpoint or me trying to convince you that Deluxe is better than Freeze. Everyone will experience every game differently, and that's why we love discussing and listening to people discuss Nintendo things. That's why I say, I love hearing from you guys. Moral of the story, everyone experiences games differently. So if you see a game that everyone is saying is bad, but you want to try it, go for it. Games are meant to be enjoyed, so enjoy them, in your own weird way. Because no matter how weird you are, you'll never be as weird as a guy with the pineapple. Holy Jesus! What the? Is this a brick? Who's throwing bricks?